Sofie.
Hello,
How are you doing
hello.
today? And I want to welcome everybody to Wisdom Cafe Live. My name is Dr. Bob Choat. I'm the Transformational Grandmaster, and my beautiful co-host is Dr. Sofie Nubani. So, Sofie, I know that you've had a lot of fun lately, going out and everything. No, I'm talking about the beach there in Cocoa Beach or somewhere.
Okay, yes, I did.
Yep. Because I have not been to the beach in I don't know how long. I remember you telling me about that earlier.
You
I've
caught
been
me
kind
off
of jealous.
guard.
That's the reason I wanted to say that, because I've been jealous. So that's on me.
All right. Yes, yes. It was a little bit cold today. We had a shift of temperature,
Mhm.
but it was amazing because by the time I got to the beach and met with my friend, it was sunny and beautiful, and we had an amazing time. Yes.
Ah, yeah, we're kind of like here in California. We're in a lockdown, so we're not really supposed to be venturing out. So there's like, I know they're going to be coming in. Stay at home, like stay at home unless you have to go shopping or something like that. So that's been okay.
So we'll take advantage of everything we can while supplies last.
Correct, correct, correct. So
Yes.
I am really excited on our next guest, and this guy, he's amazing soul, because I had a chance to talk to him. It's so powerful on what he's been able to do in such a short time, and even his journey going into the self-development field, and then eventually as a coach and mentor to so many. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce him. So we have coming in today Fong Chua. He's an entrepreneur, a business strategist, real estate investor. I remember he telling me about that. Speaker and best-selling author. Now, he's successfully unlocked many of his clients' potentials. He's demonstrated how he can achieve more than ever thought possible. He's been able to inspire and bring to reality authors, entrepreneurs, and speakers. He's come up with different branding strategies, marketing, and positioning strategies as well. And he's helped to increase his clients' businesses and exposure, along with working on his clients' networking, relationship building, and public speaking skills. And that's what he does best. And after I had this conversation with him, I can actually see why. This guy is so amazing. And one thing, he does have an amazing podcast. I've seen it. It's called the Peak Potential Success Show. And he also has a weekly video show, Make More Mind Bites, and that's on his YouTube channel. So I suggest anybody watching this, go check it out. He's going to tell us more about that. He's also the author, along with his partner, Jessica, of the Make More Work Less book series. And he currently is at 5 books. And his background,
and there have more coming up too.
Yes. And what's really amazing is that he spoke to thousands in Canada, here in the United States. He's been on a panelist with Kevin Harrington from the Shark Tank. Everybody remembers him. He's been interviewed by George Ross, who's a former partner of Trump, Mark McCoy, who's a Canadian Olympic gold medalist, Frank O'Day, and many others. And by the way, he's coached many, many people to speak where they became award winners. So this guy is an award creating phenomena for others. And I'm so happy to have him. And I'm going to go ahead and bring him on.
Hey.
And Fong.
Hey, thanks for having me. And I like the word phenomenal. That made me But thank you for having me. It's good to see you, Sofie, and also Bob. Thank you.
Yeah, so here's the thing. When I first saw him, and I had an assumption, and even though he is young, I thought he was like at least 10 years younger, maybe in his 20s or something like that. And he is one of these young phenomena. You know, there's that word, coming up. But he only looks that way. He's actually approaching, I believe, 40 years old, which is pretty awesome. He still looks like this kid.
Wow.
I
Yeah,
like
that's
using that as much as I can. So when people say that, I'm like, I don't think you know how old I actually am. So, and I'm going to use that as long as I can possibly use it.
You're going to be able to do that. I mean, look at your hair. I mean, your hair is nice. Look at me. See this?
Well, yeah.
Where's my hair?
When you're like that, like nobody knows how old you are. It's
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You can be bald at in your teens and stay bald for the rest of your life and still look cool. It's awesome. Right? My problem is if it starts turning white, I need to do something with it.
Well, so here's the thing. You're going to look distinguished because it's just going to start down here a little bit. It's going to look little bit. But you have the perfect hair. Even when you get older, it's going to look nice and everything. So
I sure hope so because my dad has your style. So.
Oh really?
So it's kind of hard to. And I thought about this for a very long time when I was younger. People go, "Oh, don't worry, it's genetics." So it's the mom side. I'm like, well, all the men in my mom's side are all bald. My dad,
really?
So I don't know. It's kind of against me. I'm hoping I got the 2 recessive genes and I'm good.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Oh boy. Well, we really want to welcome you on Wisdom Cafe Live and on the Meet the Expert show. You definitely have a very impressive bio and accomplishments that we definitely want to share with our audience and those who are going to meet you for the first time and those who might know you and see what you're up to as well. And I'm sure many others who do, they'll be like, because you're constantly growing and you're constantly, contributing. I had the honor to interview you on the International Youth Business Community show. And let me tell you guys, they asked him to do a video literally at the very end. This is no preparation, nothing. And they gave him just like maybe 2 lines or something. I can't remember, but it's like the name of the company. And I'm like, he impressed me. He came in so energetic. I mean, if you have a chance, it's on my Dr. Sofie page and you can see the interview. He was so energetic. And I'm like, if anybody's going to miss this show, I don't know. He had all this buzz of energy and enthusiasm as if he worked with the company forever. And I'm like, I see why he's so successful. He's right on point, right on his feet, and so witty and very, he improvised so amazing with much confidence and clarity. And I have to say, I don't see this much. He actually impressed me with the speed and the wittiness he had to come up so fast. I said, this is creative. I love it.
Well, thank you very much for that. I guess all those years of watching Whose Line Is It Anyways and improv has paid off. So, and plus, I love people do introductions and watch people speak. And when they have great energy, I feel more engaged. So I try to copy as much as I can all the people I find very successful. So.
Okay, you're modeling well and putting in your own flavor into it.
Yeah, he absolutely is he's a dream modeler, and I can see his energy. He was made to be a speaker, to be a coach, to inspire others. And even though, his background and what he told me as an engineer and everything, and he may have some of the engineer mindset, but he has this charisma that I think is perfect for the arena that he entered into. So
thank you. Yeah. I always been telling a lot of people where I started off as a really left-minded person, very analytical, very shy. I would never go speak with anybody. I would be always in the back of the room. And I find that for somebody like that to start forcing yourself to have more of a right-minded mentality, it's easier to switch on and off than the other way around. So I find that as an advantage, but that's because that's the only reference I know. So.
Oh my God.
Perfect.
I have to say, as a creative mindset strategist, you just hit it on the nail. because you really need both sides to work amazing. Creativity is like imagining, innovation is doing. And without the analytical side, we are not doing. We're not making it to manifestation. You're dreaming, you're imagining, you're creative with all these ideas. But then when it comes, wait, where is that book you said you want to write? Where is that business you wanted to do? Because they don't know the steps on how to do the positive discipline, the process, follow the lead, and so forth. So what you just mentioned is utilizing both sides, because they're both so important when it comes to results. And you might have not even noticed that, but I'm telling you, this is like so perfect, because usually when people are on the right side more, meaning we talk about right side, artistic more and all that, and they tend to have more challenge to make it come to life. If they're really not delegating or hiring the right help and so forth, because a lot of times they can't do it themselves and discipline themselves enough to really have this organization and planning and so forth. And so for having that engineer background and being more analytical and critical thinker, it is a big plus to aid your creative endeavors and the newness and the liveliness and the freshness and all the things that you're adding the flavor to, because you are adding a lot of flavor. So welcome, Fong Chua. We are so excited.
So this is interesting, because one of the questions I was going to ask you outside of the questions that you gave us is specifically your background as an engineer. Because like when I coach people, I would tell them to imagine, or go, like Stephen Covey said, begin with the end in mind. So I had them going there, but I have it broke down, and all the way down to the beginning, but break it down in, so it's like going and try to see how something is engineering and breaking it down to its parts. How does your background as an engineer come into play in helping your clients?
Well, I think the term is reverse engineering.
Reverse engineering, yes.
You have that end goal in mind. What do you actually want to do? Okay, you want that book written? No problem. Let's just break it down and make it as easy as I can for you to actually follow and then finish it off. One thing, like I use a book as an example because that's one of my specialties. I help a lot of people write their books. And during this COVID time, what I've been challenging a lot of my clients to do is, okay, one, you could sit here and complain. You can complain about the economy. You can complain about your lack of job or whatever it is, and that you're stuck at home. Or since you're stuck at home, why not during this period of time become a best-selling author? So I have the people who took me up on this challenge actually got a book in hand from scratch within 4 months. Okay. So then it's just a matter of and every single time I say that, they go, wow, how do I do that? Writing a book, that's going to take forever. It's going to take so much time. It's going to take so much effort. And I just break it down. I mean, can you speak for 2 hours? If you can speak for 2 hours, then you already have your book done. And then I explain how, right? It makes it so much easier. And once you break it down piece by piece, and they go, okay, if you can imagine having that book in hand, okay, now put that aside. Now let's focus on each chapter, breaking it down, going to the table contents, your content, your topic, all that kind of stuff, and just focus at one at a time. And after that, it's easy. 10-minute speech, 15-minute speech, you have one chapter done.
Perfect.
So I just have a question. And how many words are in 2 hours, approximately, Mr. Engineer?
I believe on average, a person speaks 125 words a minute.
Here you go. I love it.
And I believe you think 5,000 words a minute.
Okay.
So for somebody like Bob there who studies psychology and stuff like that, that's usually how you put those mind traps on people. You ask a question to see how fast they reply. If they start thinking and replying too late, that means they're guilty.
Yeah.
Because they're running through all those scenarios in their heads. But if they know for a fact they didn't do something, they'll say, I didn't do it.
Yeah, especially not only in psychology, his background in working for LAPD and in the Marines and all that. So his mind is trained to really be very alert and observant to truth when it's spoken and when it's not, actually. Wow, interesting.
Sure.
Yeah. So I know that we talked before our show started, me and you, Fong, and we discussed like reading and being able to really. We talked about speed reading, but you also are helping people to absorb what they learn. So,
Yeah.
what is the strategies that you use to or apply to maximize your own ability to absorb the information that either you read or got from somewhere else?
Okay, so I truly believe that everybody needs to mind feed all the time. If not at least half an hour a day, more than that, if you can. Whenever you can put some mind feeding in, you put some mind feeding in. No difference than exercising. So when it comes to mind feeding, what do you mind feed your mind with? So if you say you want to learn more business, then mind feed yourself with more business stuff. However, if you want to be effective in communicating with people and networking with people, well, look, there's so many different people in the world. And for instance, you have some background in psychology, you have a background as a police officer, you have a background in spirituality and all that kind of stuff. If I want to connect with both of you, I need to have a little bit of background with all those different topics. So how are you able to absorb all that information with the least amount of time, right? And in order to do that, you're either reading books, or you're watching YouTube videos, or you're watching documentaries, or you're listening to podcasts and all that kind of stuff. Now, I'm a huge fan of Joe Rogan's podcast. He has so many different guests from so many different types of industries, so many different experts, so many different viewpoints and all that kind of stuff. So I really like listening to that. I learn a lot from that. However, his podcasts are 3-4 hours long. So how do you fit all that in on top of reading? Now, I shared with Dr. Bob before, I'm a very slow reader. So for a 250-page book, if I was to sit down and read, it would probably take me about 20 hours, which means if I need to read a bit every day, it might take me 2-3 months to actually finish that book. So then I go, how do I make this faster? So I went and got the audiobook. Now, the audiobook, when you play it, will be about 8 hours long. So I would actually listen to it and then follow the actual hard copy book. So not only am I getting a visual, but I'm doubling it up by listening to it as well. So now I get two things coming in. Two sensories are activated. But why do I stop there? I could increase the speed of my audio to 1.25 play speed, to 1.5, to 2 times the speed, to 2.5 times the speed, and sometimes at 3 times the speed. So if I do that, that takes an 8-hour book down to less than 3 hours. And I could start reading, like I could read and listen to it at the same time. So I took a 20-hour task down to 3 hours. If I really wanted to, I could re-listen to the entire thing again, and it's still faster than 20 hours I would take if I was to read it myself. Okay? And we'll actually retain more because not only am I listening, I'm also reading at the same time. So then if I could do that with books, what's stopping me from doing that with my YouTube videos, my podcasts, and everything else? So that I could cram more stuff into my brain. Now, what's funny is sometimes I forget that my default is at 2 times the speed. So then when I'm watching a YouTube video, all of a sudden I'm like, man, this sounds very slow. And I check, like, oh, it's already at 2 times the speed, right? So that I could bump it even more if I wanted to, right? So then your brain starts processing stuff a lot faster because you're training it all the time, right? But I started off at 1.25, 1.5, 1. And then you start getting to a point where it's more comfortable. Now, one really interesting thing that I do is I show people, okay, listen to this and what do you think? And I play a speed and go, oh, no, I can't. That's way too fast. Then I play a different speed, an even higher speed. And he goes, yeah, that's completely impossible. And I bring it back down to the original speed I played at them before and go, oh, I could do this now. Well, that speed was at 1.5, which means instantly I showed you that you could increase your processing power by 50% without even trying, right? So then now you know, hey, I could do this. I could apply it to everything else. And the thing is, if you can do this with all your audiobooks and all your shows and all that kind of stuff, then you're able to access information faster. You're going to find when you're talking to people, you're able to find things in your brain a little faster. You can process the stuff that they tell you faster as well, right? There's only 3 problems with this strategy. 1, never ever watch comedians or stand-up, because that punchline will never be funny again.
Yep.
Number 2, you're gonna find that your friends, you're gonna find that your friends are very, very slow talkers. And number 3, you become a person who speaks very, very fast. But I'll take that over not reading fast and not processing things fast anytime.
Now I know how you spoke so fast on the show. When you got it on the end, you were like, boom, 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 boom. I'm like, oh my God, you got it so fast, so down pat,
Now,
so right.
Yeah, so here's the thing, because I know, like with myself. Now, my friends from decades ago are like so far behind because they haven't grown in terms of learning and everything like that. And as you absorb and as you learn a lot of different areas, how has that affected maybe past relationships, and how has that brought forth new ones?
So past relationships meaning like people I've worked with before, or friends that I had
people that you worked with before, people that you may have been friends with years ago, things like that.
You start to what's the word? Compartmentalize?
Yeah.
You start to put them in categories, and you go, I'm talking to these people. This is the Fong that they get. When I'm talking to these people, this is the Fong I get, kind of thing, right? So then, because the thing is, in order for me to get to where I am today, I went through a period of time where I was so amazed by this whole new world of investments, real estate, speaking, coaching, and all that kind of stuff. And I came from a family who has none of that stuff. No business background, no real estate background. They don't believe in networking. They don't believe in talking to people and stuff like that. So I had no reference point to go on. Okay. Hence, I was a very shy kid. I was the person that's always in the back of the room. I won't go out and handshakes with anybody. So for me to get into this world was completely different for me. So when I start buying into this, all I wanted to do is share with my family and friends. I'm like, hey, look at this, look at that. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And it gets to a point where it's like opening up that fire hydrant, and they go, man, you've changed. You're no longer the Fong we know. I don't know if I like where this is going and all that kind of stuff. So then that's when I realized if I want to keep on pursuing what I want to do, I needed to stop sharing certain information with people who, 1, may or not want to hear it, and 2, who would not support what I'm doing because of the lack of knowledge that they have. Not because they didn't care about me, or maybe because they wanted to protect me or something like that, but it's because their lack of knowledge of what I'm doing, and therefore, oh, don't try that, don't do that, it's risky and all that kind of stuff. So then I stopped talking to them about that certain topic. So they get family Fong, okay, every time I see them. So then after a while, after a good 2-3 years after that, they start noticing, hey, I got some properties here. I'm speaking on stages. I'm meeting this person. I'm interviewing that person. Then they start going, so what actually do you do? Then I start sharing some stuff, but I still don't give everything. So it's really, you start treating your friends and your family and your relationships a little bit differently. I still keep them very close, but I feed information differently to each group.
Got it. Smart. Very, very smart.
It's emotional intelligence. high EQ.
Yep.
Definitely. Wow. Interesting. So how can somebody increase their time and effort to gain more credibility?
I would say think about intentional congruence. How can you do one thing, or actually, sorry, how do you do multiple things by doing one thing, and then have that branch out or repurpose and all that kind of stuff? So for instance, we all said that there's not enough time in the day. There's so much stuff that we have to do. And as entrepreneurs, you know that, okay, we need to have blog posts. We need to have a podcast. We need to have a YouTube channel. We need to have a free giveaway. We need to have a book. Like, you have all this stuff. So I've just listed out there maybe of 5 or 6 things. Well, in 1 hour a day, if you could do, I don't know, a 10-minute talk, 15-minute talk on a topic, record that, then guess what? You have a 15-minute conversation with a video camera, which you can upload to your YouTube. So now you have content for that. You could extract the audio and put it and call it for your podcast. So now you have content for that. You transcribe it. Now you have a blog post for your website. You edit it. Now you have a chapter for a book. So if you do 10 of those, you have an ebook that you can put on your website as a free giveaway. Well, you already have an ebook, put a cover on it. Now you have an actual book. So by doing one thing, you've taken care of 4, 5, 6 different things. So you just have to kind of think about, how do you do more stuff in less time and maximize your efforts and maximize your content.
Beautiful. I love it.
Yeah, the power of leverage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's just
Archimedes. We're bringing Archimedes here.
I was thinking, it's just like for people who says, oh, they need to meet more people and they need to build more credibility and they want to spread a message. Okay, so these 3 things, where you could do one thing and take care of all 3 things. Okay, some people go, okay, I have to go in and network with one person at a time and talk to all these people. And as I'm networking with all these people, I'm going to be connecting and then also networking and passing out a message and all that kind of stuff. But how do you build credibility? Well, if you are able to connect with people and get on stage and speak and do a presentation, in that 5-10 minutes presentation, you're spreading your message to hundreds of people all at once.
Yep.
They're going to come to you. Now you can connect with them. You don't have to waste time and go handshake with everybody else. And plus, the people who come to you is already screened, right? Mm-hmm. Those are people already interested in your message and what you're talking about. So you don't have to go and search for all the other people who may or may not be interested into what you're doing. So that, again, just speaking alone takes care of 2-3 things and also gives you credibility, because that photo of you standing on stage speaking to hundreds of people gives you credibility.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. Absolutely.
Brilliant. I love the way you actually describe and explain it, which many people know, but when you put it all together in one way, I think a lot of times people struggle with the how to. And I really believe that everyone, when they have all the resources they need within, if they really can tap into it. But the challenge that they do face is the how to. And this is why coaching, mentoring, and all that is so powerful. It's beyond just, thinking that you're helping yourself in one little way. It's truly, with the right help, you can grow so much faster and arrive a lot earlier to your destinations by just tweaking little things. And the universe likes speed. Mm. And this is one of the things that I really love about what Fong Chua just mentioned. He mentioned too, how you can absorb information in faster ways. What does that mean? You're learning a lot. That application is going to make you already a higher authority in your field, because you have more information to teach and also lead and experiment with faster than half of the others who are still trying to get there. Imagine, he's already at the top of the mountain. He can see the full view a lot faster, because he arrived in a helicopter and everybody was hiking. But I mean, I'm not saying the hike is not important. It's just now you're learning the steps, and he's showing steps. What are the steps, which is really cool. I love it.
You mentioned the how-to, and sometimes that's what people struggle with. The thing is, the how-to is you already know how. Okay, so when people go, but I don't know how to do this, I don't know how to do that, and they ask me, how do I do that? Okay, well, if I asked you and you were the consultant and you were the expert, can you answer that question? And most likely, they can answer that question. And if they still struggle a little bit, I go, okay, fine. So for instance, let's say, how do you go meet more people? I don't know how to meet more people. And if they can't answer that question, I ask them this: do you have a child? If your son came up to you and said, how do I meet more people? What would you say? And they would go, oh, then you go to parties and you go and meet people on the street, say hi. I'm like, exactly. There, you answer your own question. So you actually know how. For a lot of stuff that people ask, you already know how. And plus, you have access to Google. So you could find all that information. The problem is people don't take action. Okay. And the action is sometimes you just have to force them to do it. One of my favorite exercises that I do when I'm on stage is I go, okay, I mentioned how important that photo is when you're speaking in front of a lot of people. And there's that photo of a person taking a photo of your back facing all those people in front of you. I'm like, that is a powerful photo. Whether it's 60 people in the audience, 100, 1,000, whatever it is, it's a powerful photo. So then I go, who here in the audience has never spoken in front of more than 5 people? Whoever puts up their hand, I'll pick them up and go, here, come over here for a moment. Just stand right here and recite the ABCs. I'll walk behind them, take a photo, and go, now you can just say you inspired a room full of entrepreneurs and leaders on this
By
stage.
knowing your alphabets.
By knowing your alphabet.
I know you have it.
But the fact that that person who's shy and never ever spoken in front of that many people, just standing there is inspiration enough. Mm-hmm. So what I said was not actually a lie. It's true. People were inspired. So then now they could take that photo and post it on their social media and go, look what I just did.
Yeah, some people, it's like Dr. Bob always said that. His background in Marines and going on a compact, he said that was easier than getting on stage and speaking. Like literally, he said he would have rather.
So that was actually my greatest fear, was speaking in public. Like you, I was shy, but I also was a stutterer. Mm-hmm. In fact, I used to tell people I was a member of 2 NSAs. There's National Stuttering Association and the National Speakers Association. And for me to get up on stage, when I first started, it was hard. I'd rather have been in combat, being shot at, and even getting shot than speak on stage. Now I crave the heck out of it. So it's a complete shift.
So I'm just saying what he was saying about, the person who goes up there,
Correct.
Even doing, I mentioned the alphabet only that it was an easier task, because if somebody had like Bob, who was very scared, I mean, that is a big accomplishment to even say their name would be a little bit tensed and they're nervous about it. So yes, so that's really cool. I like that.
That is awesome.
I think it's also, in the end, it's your mind. Once you get up on stage and you go, you know what? I'm here. Why do I care what other people think? In fact, the people down there in the audience wish that they were up here. So even though if you do screw up, you're doing something that not many people do.
Yeah. Except there's a lot of people in the audience that, and I tell some speakers this, or new ones, I said, those people in the audience, they wish they could do what you're doing, but they're too scared. And if you call on them, they're too scared to answer too. I mean, I've seen that quite a bit.
Mm-hmm. When I mentioned the how to Feng Chua, the reason I said that is between our alpha generation and our silent generation, we have a big gap in technology access. Though, like you find, alphas, Gen Zs, millennials, X generation, they're getting a little bit in between. But baby boomers, some of them are, but some of them aren't. Like I look at my dad, like a cell phone is a task to deal with on even the regular part of it, meaning in the sense of being patient with it and not getting so tense. And like what might take you maybe 10 minutes, that person is taking them an hour or so on the same steps just to really figure it out. And so in that part of it is what I meant on the how to, but a lot of the things definitely could be very obvious or not obvious, but maybe that if they had the curiosity to push themselves and find out, that they also would have found that out. But then maybe with a mentor or a coach, they feel more safe and at ease that this person is an expert in their field. They know how to get me there faster.
No, that's true.
And especially with Feng Chua, he has roller blades on his shoes all the time.
Now,
you should have a slogan: "Arrive faster." All I can tell you is I can make you arrive faster. That's all.
which is interesting, and there's a question I want to ask you. so when people see you in terms of what you're doing and at the speed that you're doing, are you setting the example needed for your clients to be able to move forward? Because action is really imperative. Even if they take the wrong action, I know that because me and Sofie was talking about there's a creativity challenge that was done, and in a challenge, it is called the Spaghetti Marshmallow Challenge, or known as the Design Challenge, and in a challenge itself is that you have 20 sticks of dry spaghetti, you have a yard of tape, you have a yard of string, and you have one marshmallow, and it goes to create the highest structure that you can with a marshmallow on top. And so the person who designed the study, he divided into different groups. So one group were recently graduated from business school. The other group were CEOs, and I don't know what were CEOs. And then another group were engineers, and then another group were recent graduates of kindergarten. So he challenged each one of these groups to build a higher structure. Now, the average size of a structure was 20 inches tall, and the smallest structure was 10 inches tall. The highest was 26 inches tall. And what happened was that the people that created the small structure were the recent business school graduates. Because they had planned, they planned without testing. So they constantly planned so they wanted to have the perfect plan. Then they put it together, and most of the time it just fell down. I mean, they did have the 10 inches eventually, but that was just a quick, lining it up and stacking 20 things on top. The again, I said the average, the CEOs had about 21 inches. And I'm going to get back to the CEOs. The ones that had the tallest structure, time and again, in every single test where he took it around the world, were the kindergartners. The reason they had it is because they prototyped. They could build it, and that didn't work. They just kept prototyping, and they also had the most unique structures. Now because you're a civil engineer, now, had you had a group of civil engineers, because you understand structure and how that's built, you probably could have built a 40-inch structure, something like that.
I'm thinking triangles, bracing, and also bundles. That's the first thing I'm thinking. I would probably break the marshmallow apart so that it becomes joints, and then put that together. But anyway.
No, but the marshmallow has to stay on top.
Oh, it has to be in full? Okay.
It has to be right on top. So, but you have string, you have tape.
Okay, I see.
Yeah. So now going back to the CEOs, because we talked about process earlier, when they brought in an administrative assistant who understood processes, the CEO didn't understand processes. When they brought somebody who understood processes, the CEO was able to go from 21 inches on average to 30 inches. So, and the processes are very important. And we talked about like the engineering part of that as well when you work with clients and everything. What is it that you do in terms of the processes that you use both for yourself and for your clients to get them from point A to point B?
For me, a lot of it is the breaking it down, and then also trying to relate certain things that they could actually see themselves. So for instance, let's say we're using speaking on stage, and they go, no, that's too hard, or that's too scary, and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, well, you learn how to ride a bike. Why can't you do this? Right? You have the skills, you have the abilities, you have the mindset if you choose to access that mindset to succeed in it. Something, for instance, the doing videos online. That is something that a lot of people struggle with. because they feel that once I take a video online and post it up, then everybody sees, and I don't know how people are going to think about me and all that kind of stuff. Hence, creating content online becomes a very, very big hurdle for a lot of my clients. Well, how I get them to actually rethink it and apply it to themselves is, first of all, I would make it sound as easy as it can. Okay, if I go do a video, I didn't tell you how long that video needs to be. I didn't say how many words you have to do. You could do a 2-second video and it still counts as a video that goes up online. So can you do 2 seconds? Then all of a sudden it goes, oh yeah, I could do 2 seconds. Then do 2 seconds. Next time do 5 seconds. Next time do 10 seconds, whatever it is. So you break it down to a point where it makes it sound very easy for them to do. And then if they're still struggling, then it gets to a point where I need to judge whether or not they're willing to jump out of the comfort zone and trust me. And there's been many scenarios where I just go, okay, I'm gonna press record now. I press record and go, hey everybody, my name is Fong and I have this amazing person with me and they're so excited to be sharing videos online and all this great stuff every single week. What are you gonna say to them starting next week? And then they start talking. Okay, once they start talking because they're on the spot, I stop recording, go, there, you're done. Your video's done, let's post it. And I'll post it for you, right? Once it's out there, they go, oh, it's not that bad. So then they start doing on their own.
So it's just that initial step to get them started. Then they say, okay, let's just go do it.
Either that or you have them. I find that, okay, there's a few other cases. Either you come up with a consequence and an award that will motivate you enough to take action, okay? And you could either let me be the person that's holding you accountable, or you find somebody else that's not a family member who's willing to hold you accountable and that you're willing to let them hold you accountable, okay? So I had one client who came up with his own goals. He goes, I'm going to do 30 videos a week and 2 chapters a week. And every week I don't do that, I'm going to pay you an extra $200. I'm like, are you sure? He goes, yeah. I'm like, okay. Right? And sure enough, after 3 weeks, he goes, yeah, I can't afford this anymore. So he switched that up a little. So anyway, he did meet at he met it the first 2 weeks, and then 3 weeks later it started dwindling. So that he didn't hold up to that in the end, but he came up with it, and he was trying to make it work for him. I've heard stories where actually one of my coaches who was challenged to no longer eat sweets. So him and his accountability partner, who also did not want to eat sweets, decided to have an honor system. First one to fail will have to clean the other person's garage. Okay, so now you have competition, right? In fact, the competition and the accountability works very well as well. So for myself, my very first video was one of the toughest videos I've ever done. For some reason, I can't do videos when I just look at a camera. I used to sing on stage, I could perform on stage, I could speak on stage, and you could record me doing that. But if I'm sitting there with a video camera by myself, I blank out. And I stutter, and I just can't go on. And so I've tried covering up the red little button, the red little light, so that I pretend that it's not on, but I know it's on. So for some reason, it just didn't work for me. And I shared this problem with my mastermind group. And then my coach then goes, okay, well, let's break you out of that comfort zone and do 1 video a day. And instantly my engineering mind comes in. 365 days, that's 365 topics, that's multiplied by 3 minutes each. I'm like, I can't do that. That's too much work, right? So then one of the members go, well, okay, why don't we just go 1 a week? I'm like, oh, sweet. I just saved 300 some videos. I'm down to 52 videos. That's more doable. And then another person stands up and goes, well, if Fong's willing to do it, I'll do it. And then another person stood up and go, well, if they're doing it, I'll do it. So soon enough, we had 4 people on this challenge to hold each other accountable. Right after we said that, one member stood up and did exactly what I just showed you. Hey, everybody, the 4 of us are going to be on this challenge. What are you going to be talking about, Fong? And then pushed the camera in my face, and I had to speak. And that went up on that day. So then, okay, now I have to do a video. So then after that, a year later, I was the only one who was still doing videos. That was 400 videos ago. And I look back, and none of the other people who challenged me on it actually did anything. Well, they never finished even a month. And when I went back to ask the first person, he goes, yeah, I never intended to do it. I just wanted to see if you would do it. I'm like, perfect. That's fine, because I got what I wanted out of it, and I thank you for it. So it's that accountability, having those people around you, and then also that competition mindset, that helps a lot.
And it sounds like you also made a game out of it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like even when I was trying to force myself to have at least one post a day, okay, right now it's a lot easier because I have a lot of content I could post every day. But I had this one period of time I was like, okay, I need to try and post one thing every single day. So I was able to collect 365 photos. I put a quote on them. And then first day I just put quote 1 out of 365. So now I'm committed. I have to do 365, right? So how do you make yourself committed? Because like if you go 1, 2, 3, and then by day 5 out of 365, all of a sudden you disappear. Well, that doesn't look very good. So then it's more like, okay, I'll wake up earlier just to post that one thing. Well, now I'm posting every day. I have videos every single day almost too. So it's one of those things where you program your mind just to be becomes more of a habit.
Yep.
I have a question because you mentioned accountability and competition. And a lot of times competition could cause more destruction when it's not coming from an intrinsic motivation and a meaning for growth for oneself. Meaning you are trying to compete with the other person to be better than them as an end result versus to improve yourself. I just want you to clarify for our audience, what kind of competition are you referring to so nobody understands it in a different way?
So it depends on the person, right? So usually I go, we don't have to be competing the same thing. For instance, one person can say, I want to do one video a week. I'm like, okay. And the other person goes, you know what? I really want to be able to run a 5K once a week. I'm like, okay. So you do a video a week and you do a 5K a week and you hold each other accountable. As long as you guys achieve the same things, then you guys are fine. But once this person doesn't run that 5K, then this person wins. So what's the consequence or what's the award, right? Now it's easier if everybody has the same competition, if they're both running 5K. But if it's not, you have to be creative as to how you can hold each other accountable.
So the purpose is really to really steer you up and to the accountability to keep you committed and more disciplined towards a goal that you would like to reach as a collective in openness, knowing, and not like, you know, Fong Chua today created this business and next thing the other person wants to compete and want to do a business. I just want to prove that I can do it better than him versus I want to do it in my own style, my flavor, but you inspired them. And then that would be a different maybe energy that they are receiving to grow from. Because sometimes people don't understand like the depth of what that could mean. And competition is more healthy when it has a purpose and a meaning to serve the betterment of that person's highest good.
Yeah.
And okay.
Like I usually do ask them, why would you do this? Right? What's your purpose of having this goal? What's your purpose of wanting to do this every single day or every week, whatever like that? And why do you want to compete in this? And if they don't give a good enough answer, I'm going, well, you're not doing it for the right reason. And then you kind of restructure it a little bit more so that it fits more as to what they want to do or fits more as to what their end vision is. Now, some people are driven with competition, and therefore it's a little bit different with them, right? If they don't have the competition, then they're not motivated enough to do it. So certain people you may have to use that strategy, but in the end, if you know that competition will allow them to grow, even though if they don't know it themselves, then that would be good too.
Like the challenge. To challenge them because they like to be challenged, and that's how they feel more alive, I would say.
So but that's really important. Start with why. I think it was Simon Sinek that talks about that in his book, Start with Why. Because when you start with why, then you move through the whole process. But it always starts with that why. Because most people tend to start with what, Fong?
Money.
Money. Yep.
They start with, I want to have that car, I want to have that life, I want to have XYZ, and it's all materialistic. And then when you start asking more questions, then all of a sudden they go, oh no, I want to spend more time at home. Oh, I want to be able to see my child grow up. And then you start asking more questions that, oh, I want to be able to impact the society and help other people and all that kind of stuff. So it's a lot of the times it's that monetary and that materialistic mentality first. And then once you start asking the question, you pull that why out of them, and it gets more solidified and more strong.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have gotten caught up, and we see a lot of like YouTube videos, especially the marketing videos that you see that comes in. You know, like they're selling this kind of lifestyle. You know, the so-called millionaire lifestyle with the Lamborghinis, the mansions, and all this kind of stuff. And while that sounds good, truly, I have never met anybody that's built up real wealth that focuses on that lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
And
and unfortunately, a little bit of that mentality is kind of ingrained in us from a very young age. Because when you go to school, why did you pick that course? So that you could get a better job. Why do you want a better job? So you can make more money. And the conversation usually ends there, right? So like, for instance, when I went to university, it wasn't really an option to pick a non-professional course. So it was either accounting or engineering. And why? Because professionals make more money. And if you want to make more money, you have to do this. So it's not more like, hey, do you really want to design buildings? No? Too bad. You're taking it anyway, kind of thing, right? So
Wow.
Yeah, I remember when I got so despondent, like the chasing kind of thing, and it no longer it didn't drive me. I just didn't want to do that. I wanted to get out there and make an impact myself. So I ended up discovering my why after going through what I went through, including the losses and everything like that. And so I discovered that part of me, and I can tell you that I'm much happier myself, and still being able to build up a viable business. Now going back, I like what you talked about in terms of the challenges, including competition, because I know that Noah Kagan, he talks about this. He's a founder of App Sumo, and he challenges people. He says that you have 48 hours. You have 48 hours to design and build $1 million business. Now you have to go out and do the research, making sure that you have customers, but you want to create a product that they want. So he says you can do it over Saturday and Sunday, but you have 48 hours to come up with this concept, put together. And on top of that, he challenged people to get 3 customers in that 48 hours. So I don't know. Do you go through any kind of like challenges? I know you do with speaking. You do it with the writing books and things like that. Do you take somebody through that kind of challenge in like a 48-hour, 24-hour?
Usually depends on what their goals are. I haven't done one within that short period of time. I've done it in a much shorter period of time with regards to getting them to do videos online, right? Because I go, hey, take on this challenge. After this call, I want to see a video online and you tag me on it. And if you don't, I'm going to get on a call with you again and we'll just record it on the spot, kind of thing.
Got it.
More likely than not, I'll see a video go
up. Good.
So I've done something in that time period. With the books, it's one of those things, okay, how are you going to be motivated? Well, if you want to get your book done in 3 months, how are you going to be motivated enough to get that book done in 3 months? If it's a monetary thing, okay, well, I'm going to charge you this much, but if you don't make it by this time, you're going to be charged this much more, which would have been my original price.
Got it.
So I might give them a discount at the beginning to incentivize them to finish it faster, right? Now, that works out great for me because, so for instance, if somebody pays me an original price at retail and they take as long as they want, that's fine. That's what they want, right? But for me, it's more exciting for me to tell people I can coach people to write books in less than 3 months. Right? So I could use that as incentive for me to get a good testimonial, get a good story, get a good client, and show that I can do that, and give them incentive of making it cheaper. Right? And then charge them more if they don't make the deadline. Right? And they know that. I don't expect to charge them in the end anyways, but they are so motivated that they'll have the book done. So
awesome.
So I know we're getting close to the end.
Yeah, we are getting close.
I wanted to ask you, what's your favorite quote and why?
My favorite quote is, if you think you can or you think you can't, then you're probably right.
Yep.
That explains why already.
Yep. Yeah.
I just believe that.
He likes speed. He likes it like, listen, I'll give you one that will explain itself.
Exactly. Because I think if you take any quote out there, if you take any action, any result, anything that's happening right now, it goes back down to that one simple quote, right? If you think of a quote saying, well, action cures fear. Well, if you don't think that action is going to cure the fear, you're not going to take the action to cure the fear, which is if you think you can, and if you think you can't, you're right. So everything goes back to that main quote. So that's why I think it's the quote that trumps them all, is what I think.
Yeah, well, that's very true. I know when I first went in the Marine Corps and going to boot camp, and it was always about, how I'm going to get from point A to point B. So I kind of made it a game. I think throughout my whole time in the Marine Corps, through the challenges that other people actually dropped out, I just said, how can I get to the next step, to the next step, to the next step, and I had to get into the right mindset. Had to think that I can, like the little engine that could, and I just kept chugging along, till I got to past this one point, then the next point, the next point. So, yeah, bring it on. Bring on the next challenge. I have a fear of heights, so I'm going to be jumping out of planes. I'm going to be rappelling down the sides of mountains and all this kind of stuff. So, yeah, just bring it on. How can I do this? And same thing with me with public speaking. Ended up like bringing it on, making it a game. So. Yeah, so that sounds pretty cool, and it sounds like that's what you've been challenging all your clients on, and so forth. And it's been amazing. I know that we're almost an hour in here, and we said 45 minutes and everything.
It's like we need 2 episodes to ask all the questions we want to ask.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd be happy to come on whenever you want me to. So.
Blessings.
Perfect.
Blessings. Thank you.
So, what is the best way for people to get a hold of you if they want to contact you either for speaking engagement, for anything you have going on, or if they want to bring you into their podcast or something like that? What's the best way?
Well, I'm on Facebook. I think I'm the only Fong Chua on Facebook, and my page is everywhere on my page, so you'll notice me for sure. If not, then you can email me at fong.chua@yourarea.ca, and that's yourarea.ca. And then my website is fongchua.com. So you can put your contact information there. Reach out on Facebook. I reply. So.
Yeah, and
you're
by the way,
very good communicator. I have to say that I've met a lot of people, and he's really one of the most that you can notice. His communication skills are amazing and very prompt, for sure.
Well, thank you.
Yes. Perfect. Yeah, and again, people that's watching, in the description, you can go to his website. Just click through and check it out, and find him on Facebook. Send him a friend request if he has any available spots, or his page as well, his business page. Go there, find out more about him, watch his videos,
and YouTube channel too. We mentioned that earlier.
Yep, his YouTube channels, which I subscribe to both of them.
Well, thank you.
So this has been an amazing discussion, and everybody, all of us, including myself, we learned quite a bit from you. And
beautiful, yes.
Yeah. So
well, thank you very much for having me. And this is a great show because there's a lot of great authors on this show, and a lot of great entrepreneurs as well. So It's been a lot of fun to be included in that group of people that you've interviewed, and you guys are doing great work. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Blessings,
Thank
blessings.
you.
Thank you for your time, and looking forward to having you back. And for all our audience, we are so grateful for you being part of our journey and allowing us to be part of yours. Together, we celebrate, we laugh, we grow and thrive and glow. So hope everyone is safe and doing great, and reach out, and we're all here for you.
Yeah, and just to let everybody know that me and Sofie, we have an NLP training coming up on December 12th. You can go to wisdomcafe.live, and there's a link there to NLP Basic Practitioner Certification, and we're looking forward for people to joining in that as well. So again, we want to thank Fong and our audience out there. It's been an amazing night. So, and just want to wish everybody a wonderful week ahead and wonderful journey through this thing called life. And again, you entrepreneurs out there, get a hold of this guy on the other side of Sofie.
That's right. There you go. Blessings.
Yep.
Blessings.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.